at Ralph Lauren on 72nd and Madison for about 2 years in the retail store. And being in that environment was actually one of the big inspirations for starting the concept. And myself and Seth were wearing vintage during the time, but it wasn't really very mainstream. So one thing with that concept, it was a lot about just the flow of product, coming out of people's closets and, being filtered in and recycled. People would go out and find these new treasures, and also the karmatic aspect of what comes around goes around, with just good energy and movement. So it was literally on a napkin at the cash shop at Ralph Lauren, and it just kind of came out, and it seemed to fit. Yeah, it's a really good energy. I mean, a lot of people say, oh, it's a long name, it's hard one to remember, but it sticks with people, and I think it has a lot of soul.
How does it feel when you're thinking you're dead? How does it feel?
And I think there's something just about that hunt and that search and the ability to keep creating something new and fresh. For the most part, we really cue back to like the late 60s, early 70s, that rock and roll English movement, where during that period there was a lot of inspirations came from the Victorian and 1930s era. If you know companies from England like Biba, Granny Takes a Trip. We emulate and embrace really those time periods, and rebuilt the store with predominantly reclaimed lumber, which you see as our dressing rooms and our 200-year-old oak denim wall.
How does it feel bursting clouds on your way? How does it feel when the night is over? How does it feel?
We're unique, globally. I think, again, there's a lot of people who do vintage, but they may specialize in certain areas. And truly, we really take this to a lifestyle form because, number one, we live it. A lot of other stores or online, for that matter. And I think this gives us a unique mix where the vintage, can tell a little bit of a story and delineates all the different stores, Yeah. Well, 15 years ago, the neighborhood was quite different. It was, even in the 80s, it was very artsy. It was more like the East Village. And as in '93, it was kind of going through a change. And quite honestly, the rent down here was a lot different. And, it was a stretch for us. But we said, let's go down here. There's a lot that's happening here. Galleries have always been here, but you did see, other interesting brands coming into play. Eventually, it got very mainstream with your Ralph Laurens, your Cipriani's, and Tommy Hilfiger and Chanel. But it's been a good mix where we still have our, base clientele from the past, which was a little bit more on the artsy side, and now, we have tourists, from all over the world, and a great following that's built. And I think it's a good place to be. It's hard to have real estate that's always going to sustain the cool factor of being, fresh.
How does it feel?
Over the years, we've been collecting and compiling one of the most deep and rare collections of rock T-shirts, over 500 pieces. About a year and a half ago, we decided to publish a book with Rizzoli on rock T-shirts. Some of the most iconic, incredible pieces: the Yardbirds, early Rolling Stones, Goat's Head Soup, knit sweater, which were numbered and embroidered in the back. The thing for right now is the sheer, that very sheer look, which a lot of people are trying to replicate now. But we go out and we tell our suppliers, make sure you find the most beat up tees, because this is what everybody wants to wear. It's getting harder to find everything, quite honestly. These are all things that are older, and they're just not existing anymore. Some of these things are, when you get into 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 years old, they just don't come true, anymore. The beauty also about these, in our selection with the boots, it's again that whole look and patina. That's that perfect balance of being beat up but not too beat up. So the retail is our next phase. We look to hopefully open more stores and key locations.
When the night is over.